Many people stay stuck in this cycle of self-help, affirmations, podcasts, YouTubes, tours, everything, because you're bypassing the most important but least aesthetic part. It is emotional responsibility. It isn't just journaling and breathwork, though extremely important, but it's about facing the parts of you that you've been protecting, denying, or avoiding. And that is what we're going to talk about right now, why you're staying stuck, and the part of you that you keep on skipping.
Check it out.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back to the Positivity Experience. It's your girl, Lori. I am excited that you are here. Happy summer/winter, wherever you are in the world. Really, really excited about this topic. It was one of the best parts of growth. Now, when I say best parts, I didn't say the funnest parts, the most fun. There was nothing fun about this, but it was important once I realized I wanted to help the little parts of me that were littered throughout my lifetime from trauma, because that's what happens. That's where shadow work comes from. That's where working on your stuff comes from, to address the inner children that have been all over the world for you because you've dropped them all over the world. You take them everywhere, but then you avoid them and you abandon them, but then you want to see them, but then you're looking for these fast fixes. And that's not real. So if you go to Patreon right now, or when you get done, patreon.com/the positivity experience, you will get a worksheet. The worksheet complements this podcast. And on the Patreon, what I do is I walk through the worksheet with you because I always add to it. And then it is up to you to do the work. You will get that each week. So you get 4 a month, and then in the higher tier, you'll even get another little bonus episode. But if that's your jam and you really want to go deeper with yourself personally, then you can hop over there, Patreon. But one of the best things that you can give yourself is saving the parts of you, or I don't even want to say saving, but let's go with that. Saving the parts of you, or let's say showing up for the parts of you. I like that better. Showing up for the parts of you that you have been avoiding through all of this fluff. Now, we need some of the fluff. We need the breathing. We absolutely need the breath work. We absolutely need our 5 journals. We absolutely need to stay grounded and gratitude. Absolutely. But that part is the icing on the deeper part. Because see, the healing can become avoidance. I cannot begin to tell you, and I have clients all over this world. And like I always say in the show notes is my website, go out, get the free Letting Go workbook, but you can also book sessions with me there, but do not do it until you're ready to not avoid yourself. Because and listen, we've all fallen into this trap. I have. Anybody who's done this healing journey who is on this healing journey wants it fast. It doesn't exist. And it's easy to do the things that you start to learn, but is it easy to go deeper and try to figure out what it is that you're still needing to learn? Not always. Because our brain, remember this, our brain is wired for the system of saying, oh, I know what I can expect. Oh, I see that that's not dangerous for us, but that's what it's wired for. That doesn't mean that that's the limits to it. So don't allow yourself to put limits on it. Because the growth isn't just the easy things. The growth isn't I can do that. The growth isn't a motivational speech. It isn't. It's helpful to get you on the yellow brick road, but don't sit there and think that that's the answer, because it isn't. Because you'll often say you're doing the work, but that's not necessarily true. What you're really doing is reading books instead of taking action. I cannot begin to tell you how many people say, and listen, I got a second book coming out. I'm all about you reading it, but take action. See, that's the part that you are resisting. Take action. Stop telling me it's hard, because staying stuck is hard. Stop telling me you'll start Monday. Start today. Start when you're done this. When you're finished this podcast, or even while you're doing this podcast, break out your gratitude journal. Break out things while you're listening to me talk, while we're doing this together. I don't care how many books you read. You're looking for this fast solution. You're looking for something that goes, if you do this, you will feel amazing. If you do this, you will get over that hump. Now, it's important to have those things. It's important because it does give you a foundation where, you might not have ever been encouraged in the past. So if you haven't been encouraged in the past, those things are extremely helpful. But stop looking at them without taking action. Because then what you'll do too, and I know some of you are doing this, you'll pick and choose what you've learned from this book or this podcast or anything. You pick and choose. You're like, okay, oh, I'm going to do that piece. Okay, oh, I'll do that piece. that's fine. But until you dot every I and cross every T and literally face it head on, you're not really going to grow. You're just going to keep getting tattoos. You're going to keep getting sweatshirts. You're going to keep getting podcasts on top of podcasts on top of podcasts. You're going to keep getting affirmations. You're going to keep doing the journaling, which is amazing. But what are you doing with the journaling? What are you doing once you're putting the things down in the journals? What are you doing? Read the books, do the things. Those are all amazing things. Everything I just talked about, amazing. Definitely required on this journey, but that is not the foundation. That is the icing. That is the fluff of this. So if you are reading books instead of taking action, you're not really growing. You're looking for this immediate result. If you're watching videos instead of having hard conversations, listen, I'm always going to hit you hard with it. I'm going to say, hey, this is how you can address this. Is okay. But having that knowledge and not using it is not really having the knowledge, right? Just because you have all of these tools. And by the way, remember what I always say, 75 to 80%, preferably 80%. You're not killing this out of the game with 100% some days, and some days 30%. Your goal is to average between 75 and 80% in the consistency of this journey of your journals, of everything, 75 to 80%. So it's a little bit more than 3/4, which is good. And you're capable of it. But just because you hear it and you're like, yeah, I'm gassed up, I'm ready, then go have the difficult conversation. It doesn't matter what you know of a framework or what you want to say or that you need to say in order to get that boundary across. Beautiful. Are you doing it? Are you executing it? And are you executing it over and over and over again? That is the real question. That's the real question, because I cannot begin to tell you how many times people will go, God, I feel like we've worked on this and we've already discussed this. How consistent have you been? Well, I mean, I've been pretty good over these last 2 weeks. Okay, great. Love that for you. We're not moving forward until we start doing some more implementation. That's the issue that you're always going to have, is you want the shit fast. And it isn't fast. It's not going to be fast. And if it is fast, it's not going to stick. It's not. It's just not going to happen. So are you going to have the difficult conversations, or are you going to keep seeking podcasts and worksheets and workbooks, and are great to have? You must have that. Must. But stop seeking more and more and more without taking the action. So if you're watching videos instead of taking the hard conversations, you're only going to grow but so far. Because again, having that knowledge and not using it really isn't having the knowledge at all. And this one is so important. If you're journaling about the same wound over and over again, but you're not changing your behavior, you're actually becoming in a victim mentality to your journal. You're allowed to vent there. That's why you have a journal. That's why it's there. It's there as a safe space. But if you keep repeating the same cycle and you're not taking action to change it, you're not looking to change it. And that's a fact. Absolutely. Vent it down. Write how it's hard. Write how you screwed it up. Write how you just didn't get it done that day. That's fine. Write how you just, you know what, for this 10 minutes, I'm going to bitch and complain and be a victim for 10 minutes. And then I'm going to get up and I'm going to do something about it. Love that for you. Love that. But if you keep journaling about the same thing, and what I mean by that is, if you start journaling about, well, my mom doesn't do this, okay, thank God I got the next topic coming up next week. It's still part of radical acceptance, but facing reality, period. It doesn't matter how you want it to be. It's going to matter how it actually is. And then that's where you have to take off your pretty glasses that says, I want to see this. That's not what you're seeing. You're telling yourself that that's what you're seeing. So on this journey, you got to journal about the fact that, you know what? People are people. People are going to people every day of your life. They're going to people. They may not people the way you want them to. So you can journal it, but are you going to accept that you can't do anything about it, but you can do something about how you respond to it? Well, then do something about it. Go ahead and journal about how hard it was that day, but don't say it's hard, period. This is a huge piece of it. And here's some science behind that. Your brain loves pattern safety. I've talked to you about this. Even if that pattern is pain. So your brain becomes addicted, which is a little bit of a separate topic that we actually talked about a couple weeks back or a couple months ago. Your brain looks at it and says, This is a pattern for me. Even if it is painful, your brain is familiar. We've talked about comfort and chaos. Why do you keep doing chaotic things, even though you hate the chaotic things? Because your brain goes, we hate this, but we know how to do it, right? You know how to do some of the habits that you have. You know how to, I don't scroll social media. I help people not scroll social media. I schedule my stuff so you can see it, but I don't scroll it. And if you say, well, I don't know, I just can't stop, you actually can. Do you want to? And then it's about remembering that your brain has a pattern of safety. And of course, social media is also an escape. So your brain goes, oh, yeah, we like this. Not only are we getting dopamine, we love this. But your neuroplasticity in your brain means that you can change that, but only if you are consistently interrupting your emotional loops, the overthinking, the blaming, the waiting for a perfect circumstance. Yes, that's how you're going to rewire it, is to do the hard things. Talked about this, and make sure if you are on Patreon, make sure you pull back out that confidence, how to build confidence worksheet. It'll be very helpful this week with you. You have to remember that building confidence comes from doing the things you don't want to do, doing them hard, doing them messy. My entire tagline is do it messy, period. But do it. I don't care if you half-ass it. Now, every day don't half-ass it. But if you got to start by half-assing it, then half-ass it. But do something. But then you got to work on whole-assing it too. But if that's what you need to do for the first 2 days to a week, cool. But after that, don't live there. Remember that the overthinking, the blaming, which is your victim mentality, and waiting for those perfect circumstances is going to prevent you from rewiring your brain. Your brain is smart. It's kind of also not smart because it believes what we tell it. It's like, oh, well, we're in danger. And brain goes, yep. Right? Because it's always going to believe what it is that you feed. So you have to remember that change in behavior and that consistency, and consistently keep, continuing to push forward through that, is going to be incredibly helpful for you. And that's in science. That's not an opinion. So you got to remember that repeating insights is not healing, but changing action is. Really listen to that, print it out, write it down, tattoo it on your forehead, whatever it does for you to see it. Repeating insight is not healing. Changing your action is. A change, a change in behavior is where everything is growing. And again, guess what? You're going to fall back at times. That's why 75, 80%. You're going to go back into those old patterns. Why? Because your brain is familiar with them. In order to, here's an example. If you walk, I think I used this before, but I use it all the time. If you're walking the same path on a piece of grass, right, in your front yard, you're walking the same path every single day on the same piece of grass. Guess what's going to happen? That grass is going to get tampered down, right? It's going to be a path. And every day, now the rest of the grass around it is fine. But the more you use it, the more that's there. So now you go, you know what? I don't like that. I want this path to grow back. I want new grass to come up. Put some seeds down there. I want it to grow back. So I'm not going to walk there anymore. I'm going to walk over here because now you're going to create something different. And little grass comes up here and little things come up here. And one day, you're just in your head. You're like, oh my God, I got to run out. I got to get this. I'm running late, blah, blah, blah. You go out the house, you go right back over that old path. Really think about that. You go right back over that old path. And you're like, damn, well, don't get mad at yourself. Know that your brain does that. It's automatic thinking. So your brain is no different than your habits. It actually is your habits. It actually is. So when you're continuously doing something and then you try to change it, of course it's going to be harder. But in order to truly rewire your brain, you have got to completely and utterly accept that it's supposed to be hard. It's not going to be fun. It is not fluffy. It is not an affirmation. It is an action. Without an action, there is no change behavior. Now, what are you actually avoiding that is really keeping you stuck? Multiple things. Go back to all of the 200 and some episodes I have. That's everything that's keeping you stuck, which we know. Every single one of these podcasts or anybody else's podcasts are always going to filter into the same 5 ways of healing. Like nobody is giving you any earth-shattering new ways of doing it, but your brain is your brain. We can't recreate why your brain does something because your brain is your brain. We can just give you different methodology on how you're hearing it. But at the end of the day, it's all the same thing because there's only so many ways to heal. So you have got to realize that you are not necessarily avoiding the healing. What you're avoiding is accountability for anything that you have also got to take accountability for. Maybe it is the procrastination. That's fine. We know. And by the way, we know there's reasons. We know that there's depression. We know that we have other things. We know there's neurodivergence. No one's debating that. It makes it harder, but not impossible. So there is some accountability on your part. Have you been dumping all your stuff on somebody else? Have you been assuming? Wow, do not follow me for English. Have you assumed that because you're married to someone or that someone's your parent or someone's that you can just freely dump whenever you feel like it? Because you can't. Just because you're doing it doesn't make it healthy. So can you take accountability of like, wow, maybe it's me. I'm the problem. I've told you before, you want to be the problem. You want to be the problem. Because if you're the issue, if you're the problem, the beautiful thing is you have control over you. Because it's you, that's great. You can make the changes. If it's somebody else, that's a problem because you can't change them. So if you're not willing to take the accountability of what your culpability is on this healing, and without judgment, like you don't get to look at it and be like, oh, I can't believe you did that. Why would you dump on people? Okay, it doesn't matter. You're here now. And you do things out of survival as far as your brain, because your brain goes, we don't like danger. We need our way. What is happening? It's not that you're not empathetic. It's not that you're some big giant narcissist. That's just how the brain is wired. Again, you can rewire it in certain ways, and some of it the way it is, you want to keep it. But you're avoiding taking the accountability for any of the harm that you've also caused without judgment. Oh, because you can take accountability, but that accountability switches into a victim mentality. That's where the problem lies. We're not living in victim mentality. We are taking accountability. We are accepting our role, and then we're moving forward. So you're not avoiding the healing. You're avoiding that part of the healing. You're avoiding that accountability. You also have to realize that victim identity has been yours for so long, but it's time to set that aside. It's time to set that aside. Listen, I didn't want to be molested. I didn't want my mom to die early. I didn't want to have to deal with all the shit. I didn't want to have to live in a van. I didn't want to eat seasoning salt for dinner. I didn't want that. And trust me, I lived in victim identity. Oh my God. I lived in victim identity. And I'm sure I did that as a child, but you don't know it because there's so much trauma around you, right? But I lived it. Poor me, poor me. Oh my God. It's so unfair. Then you go into unfairness and justice, and it's like all of these things, and you stay on that loop. And I lived that loop. I feel like I created that loop for the world until I said, first of all, why the hell am I doing this? Let me learn more about the brain. Let me get educated as to why my brain is doing this and why I'm allowing it. Because your brain is your brain, but you allow things to happen. And then you become the girl whose mom passed early. You become the girl, or whomever, in my case, you become the girl who was, oh, I'm sorry you were molested. You become the girl that's like, oh, you really had a hard hand. You attach your identity to it. And it is so easy to do because you're getting the attention, even though it's pity, you're getting this attention. And then sometimes you're like, wait a minute, I never had that before. I want more of that. So you lean into that victimization of yourself. You lean into it. And that victim identity is something that you resonate with. And that's also where manipulation is. That's also where, God, so much blame comes into play. Avoidance of self comes into play. Lack of accountability comes into play. So until you're willing to let go of your victim identity, you will not heal, period, end of story, facts. Is it easy? Nobody says it's easy. Is it consistent? Yup. Does that mean that you might have to accept that some of these people in your life aren't supposed to be there? Yup. Is it fast? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Now, I'm not there now. I haven't been there for years, but I would say it probably, let's see. Okay, obviously got better along the way, but I would say, what am I, 54, 34, 36, let's say 36, say like 36, 37. So after my daughter was born, I was still like learning more about this. Now, that was by the time I got on the other side of the victimization, but I would say I really started that healing ish, because it was kind of like I was half in, half out, which is what I'm talking to you about. Some of you are in the exact same place. You want to feel better, but you're not really willing to let go of certain things, and it's new and it's unfamiliar, and you're worried about being isolated. And I'd say I probably really started that. It probably took me a solid, probably hard work, probably took me a solid 12 years. Now, that also means that I still do my work every single day, right? You don't just get on the other side. You're like, yep, there it is. Victimization gone. Yeah, loving this. And now you're on the other side. No. And until you're willing to put in that effort, don't even bother showing up, because showing up is half of it. But just sitting there and wanting yourself to learn more, learn more, take more action, take more action. Why am I talking about the same thing? Until you're willing to sit still and you're willing to look at it and you're willing to hear the things that you don't want to hear and face yourself, you are going to stay on a loop, and you're going to keep seeking it. You're going to keep listening to all different, you're going to therapy hop, you're going to podcast hop, you're going to session hop, you're going to coach hop, you're going to do all those things, medicine hop, because you want it fast, but you're not willing to disconnect from the victim identity. And here's the thing. Here's the other part, your ego, baby. This is where, I love talking about ego. Oh my God, I love talking about the ego, because I love to help people get on the other side of that. But if you are facing how your ego protects your dysfunction, then it's going to be an issue. If your ego is protecting your dysfunction because you don't want to let that go. Because if you let that go, that means you're permitting it. That's your ego. And your ego that's telling you this is lying to you. It just is protecting its own self. Not letting go of something affects 0 people but yourself. 0. Because these same people are in the shower with you, they're in the bathroom with you, they're having intimate time with your partner, they are driving with you, working with you, sleeping with you, they're doing all of that. Because in your mind, if you let go, you're permitting it. No, that's not the case at all. Go get that free workbook. But letting go, listen, there's not something, well, how do I do it? You accept it. What the hell do you mean? How do you do it? You accept it. You go through the painful part of mourning what you wanted it to be, but isn't. But you got to get real clear. And this will come even harder. I'll hit even harder because I'm a hard hitter, and it's just how it's going to be. And next week, as we're talking more about this reality, that's the facts. I don't care how fluffy you want it or how direct you want it. It's always going to come back to you. It doesn't matter if you like it. It is how it is. And we will dive way deep into that. But your ego goes into the not letting go until you're ready to accept that, until you're ready to, really move forward and say, okay, simmer down. Let me understand it. Let me know when to pull it out, when not to pull it out, what's healthy, what's not. Then you're not going to grow. You're avoiding this piece of it. And here is a big part of that. This also goes into that big topic of next week. You have to admit that you have outgrown people that you're still trying to keep. Period. You've got to admit that you are in that place of chronic stuckness. That's it. I mean, that's just a fact. So I want you to give yourself this sort of this overall, I don't know, let's say sense of acceptance, right? So we know that. So when you are reading the books, when you are doing those things, what are you seeking? Are you wanting it fast? Is your ego telling you everybody else is doing it? What is it? What part of your story do you keep retelling that's allowing you to not take responsibility? How much of that do you keep telling yourself that it's okay to not? Are you just hoping for things get easier to get easier without change? That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. And it's not about everybody else changing. It's about you changing. Yes, you're the one that has to change. Yes, you're the one that has to take. Yes, it's you. Stop saying, why do I have to do it? That would be your ego. So if you're saying, well, why do I have to do ego? That's your ego. And a lot of your ego can be an inner brat. So why is it so hard? And this is the psychological cost that comes with it. Letting go of your old identity can feel like losing yourself because, again, you have attached your identity to a victimization or a toxic cycle, right? Because when you're used to toxicity, it becomes normal. Normal becomes, habit. But that's what's happening. And then you're having that cognitive dissonance. So it is painful to accept that when you were wrong or played a role or you stayed too long, you are refusing that. It's painful to accept that. But until you do, and you're willing to face the pain, you're going to keep seeking these fast, fast, fast things. You played a role. This again, you look at it and you observe it without uh, belittling yourself or without, shaming yourself, because that's not going to help you. You've gotten here because you're here, right? You've not asked for a lot of the trauma. I would dare to say you haven't asked for any of it. You didn't ask for how you were raised. You didn't ask for the parents or the caregivers that you were given. You were just, here we are. I mean, there's a whole other topic where it's like you have chosen them, but it's before birth, and that's a whole different conversation to be had. This is the important part of it. Trauma bonding. You can be emotionally attached to dysfunction because that's what you know. That's right. You can get addicted to the trauma bond even if you know it's the trauma bond. This is the part that is keeping you stuck. This is the part. These are the parts, not this is. These are. These are the parts that are preventing you from that journey, from going further on that journey. This part isn't going to be in an affirmation. This part isn't going to be in a video. Well, I mean, to a point, but this part isn't going to just be like, I read this, it was cool, I journaled on it, and it was great. No. Do the hard things. Be willing to be repetitive. Be willing to talk about the same thing in therapy or coaching over and over again, even when you think you should move forward faster and you should not. If you're not willing to do that and you're not willing to put your ego in check and realize that, the old cliche, you gotta crawl before you walk, you gotta walk before you run. Tortoise and the hare, anything applies here. Any cliche is going to be very valid here. The amygdala, remember that little part of your brain? This is your threat detection that goes, oh my God, we have problems, right? That lights up when you encounter change, even positive change, which means peace can feel unsafe. This is an emotional addiction. Peace can feel unsafe. You know what? It can also feel boring. The amount of time, and I'm trying to think, did I go through this? I think a little bit, but I would say so many of my clients who are, let's say in relationships or even just part of their life, but let's just use relationships. Let's say you get in a relationship. And there you are, you're cruising along relationship. Cool, cool, cool. It's exciting. Oh my God, it's great. Love this. And then a couple months in, you start going, oh, well, this seems boring. Like, why do I feel bored? I don't know. Is this how my life is supposed to be? It's not boring. It's safe. Now, this also doesn't mean that you're just going to vibe and be like, okay, oh my God, I can sit in the house all day. That's a little different. I'm not talking about the actual action of not having activity. I'm talking about emotionally, because it is something that is low key chill. Everybody's just kind of cruising along and you're like, I don't like this. I thought I wanted this, but I don't want this. Right? This is the same people who you walk into a room of 100 people, you're single or whatever, walk into a room 100 people, I don't care what gender they are, and all these other people are like, oh my God, they seem so nice and they're great, like I can't wait to kind of see more about them. And then there's one person that creeps in, bad boy, bad girl, whatever, kind of a little like little emotionally unavailable, kind of cute, and you're like, ooh, hi. Now mind you, you already know that you're like, oh, that's probably not good for me. But again, exciting. Ooh, it's exciting. There you go. You're going to be the one to change them. You're going to be that person. But here you go. You're negating every one of these people because, I don't know, they just, again, you have a type, right? Like, it's okay to have a type. Like, I need to be active. So if somebody is too sedentary, there's nothing wrong with them. It just may not be for me. That's not what I mean by boring. So you're willing to be put in situations where you're always on eggshells because you're familiar with it. So keep in mind if you're like, damn, why am I always picking these people? Because it's familiar. Don't get mad at yourself. You can have a bad picker because of that. That's just how it is. That's your emotional addiction, though, going into the amygdala. Now, what does it actually look like? Because this is so important. Because we have this idea that you think you're going to outrun your depression. Stop trying to outrun things. Your depression may be there for the rest of your life. Your anxiety might be with you for the rest of your life. If you continue to keep hating it, that's a problem. And we'll go deeper in that next week too. But here's the thing. You got to shift the narrative from aesthetics to activity. Great that you have the affirmations. Are we using them? Are we using them to our benefit? You got to set a boundary and tolerate the discomfort afterwards. That's right. You set that boundary. You're not responsible for their feelings. You're not even responsible for the fact that you feel some weird guilt. You can be like, all right, let me own this. I'm not responsible. I mean, I guess I am responsible for the healing. I'm not responsible for the person who inflicted this upon me. So until stop saying, I want to set a boundary nicely. How can I set a boundary politely? Stop it. Those two things do not even go into the same category. Now, you don't have to be a total dick about it, but you're going to be considered that anyway. The moment you get assertive, the moment that you start taking control over your own life and putting boundaries in place, you are going to be called everything. I don't care how you present it, because they're not getting their way. They're not getting their way. They're not satisfied. So, of course, just you better get okay with that, because until you're willing to be uncomfortable, until you're willing to be the rude, quote unquote, rude one, till you're ready to be the, that person, the villain, then you're going to keep repeating these same cycles. You got to own your part of the pattern without self-shaming. That is healing. Owning the part of your pattern without self-shaming. Know it, see it, observe it. Stop running from it. It is what it is. You did what you did. You said what you said, and you had to do what you had to do to get by in life. We are here now. I don't care how many mistakes it was. I don't care how awful it was. You are here today, and beating yourself up over and over and over and over again and ridiculing yourself. And why didn't I leave earlier? And how's that helping you? It isn't. Own it, observe it, and release it. Period. Stop explaining yourself to people who benefit from confusion. See, here's the thing. Stop it. Because when you continuously over-explain yourself, I told you this before, you're giving people the tool, you're giving people this idea that they matter in determining if your reasons and excuses are valid. And they're not. No, they do not get that power. Stop giving it to them. And you got to choose self-respect over emotional familiarity. I can never say that word. Because remember, it doesn't matter about being liked. It does matter about being respected. But that doesn't start with other people. That starts with you. Because how you treat yourself and how you hold your boundaries and how you do those things is how you're demonstrating to other people that you allow yourself to be treated. Because if you're not showing up for yourself, if you're not standing in your own boundaries, stop saying everybody else is walking over them. No, you're not holding them. No human has the capability, yes, but the allowability to push through a boundary unless you allow it. That's right. You allow it. People don't overstep a boundary. You allow it because you don't hold a consequence. You're setting boundaries out of emotions. You cannot set boundaries out of emotions. It's going to be the same for Bob at the bank, and it's going to be the same for your mom. Nobody gets this extra special boundary. Period. End of story. It's how it is. It's uncomfortable. That's where growth lies. That's where everything lies, is in the discomfort of life, of everything. You're allowed to grieve who you are without racing to become somebody new either. Right? Don't say, I'm going to lose 52 pounds in the next week. Stop. You're going to lose a pound, maybe lose 2, gain a pound here, pick and choose. Again, calm down. But you got to be willing to grieve who you were without trying to run to this brand new person. Because you're not getting the tools. If I gave you a magic, I have a pen in my hand. I put this on YouTube. So I'm pointing at the at the camera thing. If in fact I give you a magic wand and I said, make your life amazing, and you go, boop, now it's amazing. Good in theory. You have no tools. You have no tools. You have no idea how to still regulate yourself. You have no tools on how to put your ego in check. Nope, none. So there for just a minute, you feel great. And then guess what happens? Things around you happen. Well, you don't have the tools. So guess what's going to happen? You're going to go right back in it. So until you are willing to recreate patterns, right? Rewrite these patterns, you're going to over, and overindulge on everything that you used to do. Real healing happens the moment you stop performing the pain and you start practicing the peace, because you're performing in pain, but you got to start practicing peace. See, peace may feel like pain. That's the other side. See, that's the other thing. Peace can feel like pain because you're not used to it, right? You're not used to it. Going back into the relationship thing, your nervous system doesn't always have to be activated. So when you start feeling safe around somebody, or you start feeling safe in a relationship, sometimes it's like, oh, ew, what is this? I don't like that. That's the same reason you can't sit still. I don't just mean ADHD, sit still. Well, go watch TV. Go watch Netflix. Go watch something. It's okay. It's okay. Dishes aren't done. Who cares? You're fine. Oh, well, it's all good. You got to remember your nervous system doesn't have to be activated, but because it's unfamiliar, it's going to feel unsafe. This is why you consistently build and build and build and build, because that boringness, that peace is going to feel safer, but it's going to be safer once you allow it to be. So real healing happens the moment you stop performing pain and you start practicing peace. Now, the invitation. How can you stop skipping the work that actually works? If you're still stuck, you got to say, what part of me, I'll say of you, what part of me am I still trying to protect? And I'm going to even go deeper and go, why? Why is that? Why? Oh, because nobody else protected me. Okay, I hear you. Don't go into victim. We're going into victim mentality. We know you got here. We know you're here, and nobody's listening to this podcast necessarily who's like, I'm great. Now, you maybe didn't start that way and now you listen to it as a reminder. That's great. Nobody's starting that here. You're not listening to this because you're in a healed state. You're listening to this to go, I'm tired of my shit. Because I'm only going to be for the person who's tired for your shit. Oh, I will encourage you, but I will keep your feet to the flame. It is time, because you are more than capable. You are more than capable than your excuses. You got to be stronger than your excuses. You got to show up for your tomorrow self, and you got to show up for all those little children that you've left littered throughout the world of you that you keep avoiding because you're trying to rush past them. Okay, you need to audit how often you confuse insight with change. Because let me tell you, you'll do that too. You will confuse insight. You'll be like, yeah, I know this. I got this. Well, we all know until we don't. Period. Like we all know till we don't. It's funny too, because we've all done this when it comes to different parts of our growth, right? You're cruising along, you're like, damn, I am showing up. I got my journals. I am grounding. I am having those difficult conversations. Man, I am rocking it. You're like, I finally have turned the corner. Yes, I love that for you. But then guess what? All of a sudden you get smacked in the face with reality. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's great. Love that you healed that. That gives you a little bit more foundation, a little bit better foundation to continue to do the work. And you're like, what the hell? This is a lifelong journey. Stop thinking it's some weird destination. Your journey, again, cliche, it is the journey. Your journey is the journey. That is the benefit. That is the reward. That is what you're seeking. You got to shift thoughts. You got to get honest about what you keep spiritualizing in your head versus facing. Are you making excuses? Oh, I don't know how this person's going to take it. This person's too old. This person's doing the stop. You making it seem like, oh, you don't want to hurt these people's feelings in theory, but you're also avoiding yourself. You're avoiding setting boundaries. You're avoiding making these changes because you don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. You're not responsible for that. Stop going into people-pleasing mentality, even though we know it's a trauma response. You're here now. The amount of, because let me tell you, it's never going to be the right time, right? So it's going to be, oh, this person had a really, really rough week. I don't really want to bring that up. Okay, cool, fine, whatever. Oh, and then you're going to bring up a couple weeks, but you know what? Now that person's got to do some travel and they're not going to be around a lot, but you really don't want to distress them because they're not going to be around. Okay, so now we're putting this off for a month. Now you're going to have this conversation, but summer's coming. Oh man, well, we do have this vacation planned, or I got to go on vacation. You know what? I'm going to deal with this when I get back. Oh, now it's fall time. ah, man, I don't know. There's so much going on. Such and such is back to school. The grandkids, this, that, and the third, they're going back to school, whatever the case may be. You know what? I'm definitely going to do it before the end of the year because now you're moving the goalpost. Well, I don't know. It's the holidays. I really, I don't want to be an asshole. I don't want to bring this up now at the holidays. I'm going to do this the beginning of the year. I'm going to do this first of the year. Oh, now we've gotten to the new year. Now you're like, oh, I don't know. It's so cold outside. And it's just a lot going on. It's dark. I'm in a dark space. Everybody, I'll soon. All right. So now we're right back at the beginning, a year later, where you're still looking for the right time. Are you enmeshed with your grown children? Are you enmeshed with people? Are you there to pick up every piece that falls? Well, the enmeshment doesn't mean that gets some special permission. Is it your adult kid? Are you always on the phone because they're having a bad day? Great to be there, not great to sit there and enable, because they're two very different things. And and this is a little personal part of my conversation with you. And it's probably more for next week than anything else. But my daughter struggles with her mental health very badly. And you know what? I've done what I can do. I continue to, here's resources, here it is. I can't make that change for her. And what does that look like long term? I don't know. I don't know. But I have to accept it for what it is, regardless of whatever goes down. I can't, it doesn't mean I'm not in pain for her. It doesn't mean that I don't want to fix it. I can't. All I can do is give what I can give. It's all I can do. Give the resources, just like you. Give the resources. Be there. Provide everything that you need. But you cannot lose yourself on this journey. You just can't. I'm definitely going to go deeper with that next week for sure. But you got to go from the aspect of you want it to be fast, or you don't want people to get hurt, or you want people to feel better. You got to shift from healing. I mean, from enabling it, because it's that real fine line, right? Of caring and then wanting it to change, and then being afraid of what does that outcome look like. Is it a devastating outcome? Is it an outcome that's joyful? You don't know, but you can't prepare for it. All you can do is your part. You're not responsible. You're really not of the end game. All you can do is hope for the best. That's it. And I will definitely go into that topic a lot harder next week. But healing starts, use this mantra. Healing starts when I stop hiding from my own reflection. You're hiding from yourself. Stop hiding from yourself. Your reflection isn't damaged. They've just gone through stuff. Broken crayon's color. I know you've heard that. It's true. Broken crayon's color. Healing is going to take your truth, and you got to say, healing takes truth that I have been avoiding. And I think that's the whole part too, right? Like if I go into some of my own growth and things, and like I said, I don't have all the answers for everybody around me. I can provide you stuff. It is harder. It is harder when you are emotionally into it, or you're watching somebody's pain and you can see it. If you do this, it would be easier and better, but you can't. You're not in somebody's mental health. You're not in somebody's space. It's hard being a parent. It's hard being an adult. It's hard being, maybe the adult child, seeing it around you. And in many ways you can look and you can go, this could end very badly. And it could end very badly. But if you're always waiting for that shoe to drop, it's going to be so much harder for you to focus on your own healing. And it's a balancing act. And you're allowed, like I'm giving you permission. You're a grown person. If you hear, side note, if you hear Christmas music, it's my ice cream truck. My ice cream truck plays Christmas music. So there's that. So if you hear it in the background, we're not at Christmas time. But I think that piece of it for you is going to be pivotal. I do, because it really goes into the accepting reality of what it is, not as you want it to be for next week. And it's kind of, I would have flipped it around, but I really wanted you to hear that this week. Because I mean, again, I've lived it for myself. I live it for her. I live it with everybody else. I see it, but I can't change it. And you can't make somebody change. You can only give people what you got, and you will lose yourself on this journey of fixing and wanting to save someone and thinking that you're on a growth journey, but you're really not on a growth journey. And being on a growth journey means you're accepting that you're not responsible, other than not intentionally inflicting it. You're not responsible for other people's healing. And that can be heartbreaking. It can be devastating. I understand that on so many levels. You have no idea. And that's okay, because everybody here, nobody's getting out of here alive. None of us. Nobody's getting out of here alive. And you just hope that someone doesn't make that happen sooner than they need to. But you can only do what you can do. And if you sacrifice your peace, you're going to go down a very, very dark rabbit hole that you can't come out of, or that's extremely difficult. So when I ask you, are you healing? Are you working on your healing? When I tell you you have to face tough things, it's things like that. It's not just affirmations. It's not just fun little things. It's not. It's deep acceptance. I cannot wait to continue that next week. But yeah, so this worksheet over on Patreon, we're going to jump over there now. You are okay and you can do this, but you got to be willing to get real honest with yourself, show up for yourself when you don't want to, and accept that this is going to be a lifelong journey. But guess what? You're human, and humans can do really hard things. Check it out.